She was beautiful. Jeanette Johnson was beautiful. This was my world. She was my world. She lit up any room. She brought so much love. This is a 38-year-old case. But I have faith. Anything and everything is possible.
I will dream my trail of tears. I will tell my tale of woe. I will crawl out. I will walk somehow. And I'll be from
I know you've met Jerita before, but how often do y'all stay in touch?
Since I started reinvestigating this, at least once a week we're in contact.
And it all started because of a Facebook post, right?
Yes. Back in 2017, I was pretty new to the Bureau. We had a Facebook account, and a post came up by Jerita. She indicates in the post that her mom went missing in 1985, and the Kankakee Police Department hadn't done anything about it. So I took that personally. I told her I was gonna follow up on the case and see what we could do with it.
I'm here with Detective Logan Anderson with the Kankakee Police Department because they've asked for Co-Justice's help looking into one of their very challenging cases, the 1985 murder of a 29-year-old mother named Jeanette Johnson. The crazy and haunting thing about this case is that Jeanette Johnson's then 11-year-old daughter just barely missed being able to see the person who killed her.
August 2nd, 1985, Jeanette Johnson goes to the birthday party. She does return home early in the morning, 2:30, 3 o'clock. The kids are still up, and when they're not supposed to be, Jerita sees her go up to the front door, hears the keys at the door. She apparently never made it into the house. The circumstances are kind of unclear whether she drives away or somebody else drives her away, but then she's gone. Fast forward, November 24th of 85, body was located by hunters.
Jeanette's skeletal remains were discovered within months of her going missing, but she wasn't positively identified until just a few years ago with DNA analysis. That's when her case became a homicide case. But because of that lag, it ended up putting the investigation decades behind, which made it hard for them to find clues to who did this and hard to get answers for her daughter.
She's been dealing with this for approximately 38 years. I just want closure, not only for her, but for her family and her friends.
You know, you see your mom walking up to the house and she never gets in the house. What the heck could have happened? That's got to make you crazy.
There's my favorite. Hello, Detective A. You feel like nervous heart?
Yeah, I do. 1,000 miles an hour.
Hello, beautiful.
Really nervous. We're excited to see you.
And I'm excited to see you guys as well.
While Steve waits for us back at the station, Detective Anderson and I are going to meet Jeanette's daughter, Jerita, who spent 35 years not knowing anything about her mother's disappearance, only to learn just 3 years ago that she really had been murdered.
As a little girl, I couldn't understand it. I always asked what was my mom. No one had the answer. So I vowed to my grandmother that I was going to find her and I was going to bring her back home to us. I miss the hugs. I miss her telling us how she loved us. I miss everything about her. When Detective Anderson called me November of 2020, I walked into that conference room. He broke it down. We found Jeanette Johnson. Then he decided to start showing me my mom's remains on the pictures. All I kept saying was just Lord. All I kept saying was just Lord. Somebody did this to her. She didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve that. August 2nd, 1985. My mom was going to the party house, Sadie's birthday party. My auntie and my cousins at the house. My auntie told us to go upstairs and go to bed. It had to be after 12 o'clock. There was a knock at the door. Lionel Thomas was at the door. He asked me, was my mom home? And I told him no, she was at the party. He said, okay, he'll be back. He left.
Lionel Thomas was Jeanette's on-again, off-again boyfriend for about 3 years. It's kind of unclear exactly what state their relationship was in the night she went missing, but we do know that they had plans to go to a concert together that following night.
Not even an hour went by and he came back again. And I let him know again she wasn't at home. Now, the last time he came and he knocked, I opened the door. He asked me, has she made it home yet? And I told him no. He was like, okay, I'll come back and check. No more Lionel. Never came back to the house. So now, we was upstairs playing as we heard her car pull up. Almost 3 o'clock or after 3 o'clock in the morning. So as we're looking out the window, we see her like she's coming to the house. The girls took off running into my brother and our room. I dived in her bed.
Jeretha pretended to be asleep until she really fell asleep, not knowing that she had just seen her mom alive for the very last time.
So when I woke up that morning, I'm walking around the house and I'm looking for her. That's when we noticed her car. When we went to bed, her car was on the side of the house.
And now?
The car was parked in front of the house. And she don't park in front of the house. Her wallet was on the passenger seat. Her keys were still in the ignition. My mom smoked cigarettes. And in the ashtray, the cigarette looked like it just burned all the way out. It was just a long ash.
The fact that Jeanette's car was parked in a different spot the next morning when everybody woke up suggests that somebody brought the car back after she was probably killed and disposed of. But who would do that, and why would they do that? We're hoping that witnesses and testing the DNA underneath Jeanette's fingernails will provide an answer. Did Lionel ever come to your house that day,
No.
the day of the 3rd,
Nope.
saying, where's your mom?
Nope. I can't tell you why, but my grandmother always said it from day one. And she would say he was strange to her. She wouldn't allow me to have contact with Lionel when I was 18. I don't know if she's dead or alive. And I came back into the folds of Lionel's life. And he's been there since. Like, he played the role of my dad. I call him my dad.
Right. Did you do all that because you thought maybe you could kind him into telling you the truth?
It wasn't about my mom being missing and he's the corporate. I allowed myself to get so caught up into this man, I lost focus. And I just accepted him still in my life.
It's hard to imagine what all Jeretha's gone through for the last 38 years, wondering what happened to her mother, and then in that same time period, ending up getting close to a man like a father figure that turns out to be a suspect in her mom's murder. But all we can do now is just try and figure out the truth.
I want that same man that kept me in his life, if he truly is the suspect.
Right.
Why did you take her from us? Why did you keep me as a souvenir all these years? Why?
Hey, man, good to see you. We just met Jeretha, and you should see how much she already loves Logan. It's pretty clear that Jeanette Johnson's daughter, Jeretha, is conflicted about whether or not Lionel Thomas is involved in her mother's murder or somebody else is. Steve is joining us now as we all try to sit down and start working together to figure this out. Logan, we talked a little bit about Jeanette's case, but we didn't go into all of the details of it. You want to start from the front of the story?
Yeah, absolutely. Jeanette Johnson went missing in August of '85. She was put into the missing persons database. There's a flyer that was put out. We've got some decent reports from the time, but the people that they talked to was pretty minimal.
Okay.
So this case really isn't like any other case that we've worked on. Jeanette was killed in 1985, yet her remains were not identified until 2020. So this case didn't get the same depth of investigation as it would have if it had been identified as a homicide immediately. It doesn't mean we can't solve this case, but there's a lot we don't know.
So let's start our suspect board with Lionel Thomas, who's a local photographer.
He lived 5-6 blocks away. Lionel was in love with Jeanette. However, their relationship had ended, and he wasn't happy about it.
Anything at all about Lionel ever being abusive to Jeanette?
No, nothing.
How about overbearing or jealous?
Jealousy is clear in the letters that he was writing to her. When I started working the case, Jaretha, her daughter, was looking through some old things in the house, found several letters from Lionel Thomas to Jeanette. From the letters, it gives the impression that he's kind of watching her house. He knows, when she's coming and going.
Would you say it's borderline stalking, these letters?
Yes.
To Jet, a line or two to say how I really feel about you was hard to find. I underline this. I love you. I love you now and always.
Probably the biggest insight we have into Jeanette and Lionel's relationship are those letters that Lionel wrote to her that Jaretha happened to find several years later hidden in a suitcase. They range anywhere from showing real love to being confused about the breakup.
I still can't believe you just up and left me. You had little reason, if any, to dissolve our relationship.
To showing that he's jealous and she might be moving on.
While I was out front of your house, a burning feeling ran through me.
To real anger.
You are an evil woman with a cold heart.
It all sounds very desperate.
There is a letter that says something to the effect of, I'm sorry if I offended you by coming by your house.
That's right, which is kind of weird. You're thinking that's a CYA letter?
Yes.
There's even a letter in here that feels like it was written after Jeanette went missing. And we can't tell, is that because he really is innocent? Or did he write that letter trying to throw off suspicion for whoever might find that later? Then we get to the Friday night. Altogether, 3 times he goes up to the house saying, is your mom home yet?
He's waiting at the house for her. He says that he sees a vehicle pull up. He thinks that she's in it.
What kind of car?
I think it was a blue car. Light blue, yeah.
The vehicle drives away, and he tries to follow it, but loses it.
Well, that also might just be his paranoia of her, being with other men.
Either that or the car never existed.
Right.
He's just trying to throw a suspect out there.
Right.
Okay, so now let's put up unknown suspect.
In '85, some friends went up to Chicago one time and were looking around. Didn't really discover anything, but I said that there was a blue Granada circle on the block watching them. I thought that was weird.
Shortly after Jeanette was reported missing, there were rumors that she was observed in Chicago. And when her friends went to investigate that, they observed a blue Granada suspiciously circling around the block. We don't have much more information about this vehicle, but it does sound similar to the one Lionel reports the night that Jeanette actually went missing. Let me ask you this. When you guys find this garbage bag, it's in the grave, right, with her?
Yes.
And it's got the sweater. Is that her sweater?
We don't know.
Okay.
Because the sweater wasn't retained and nobody was shown the sweater to identify it.
So now on this one here, one Caucasian head hair brown in color. A portion of this hair shows that it has been burned. Why is the hair burned?
We don't know if it's got anything to do with her.
But if it's in the grave.
I don't know what to think about those other items that were also found in Jeanette's shallow grave. Is all that just random, unrelated trash, or is it maybe a clue to Jeanette's real killer? Okay, so as we start talking to all these people, let's try to address all these ideas or thoughts or concerns to see if we can clear up or eliminate any of them.
Sounds good.
Hello, Dr. Paneri.
Hello, how are you?
Everybody's excited to see you again.
Oh,
You remember
goodness.
everybody?
Yes.
We sent off Jeanette's fingernails in the hopes of getting a DNA match to our killer. While we wait for the DNA results, our forensic pathologist is here to share her insight and hopefully give us a better understanding of Jeanette's cause of death.
In November of 1985, skeletal remains were found both scattered and in a shallow grave. On the surface, they found a partial skull, no upper or lower jaw, and then in the shallow grave, they found ribs, long bones, a right hand that still had some tissues attached. For the cause and manner of death, it's described as a probable gunshot wound, an entrance wound in the posterior left parietal, and an exit in the right temporal. That's going to be going in here and coming out right here. Unfortunately, the skull is not intact. The black are the areas that are not recovered, and that would be entirely consistent with some sort of trauma to that area. So certainly it's possible that this could be a gunshot wound.
We don't have any kind of bullet or casing or anything like that in a car out there by the grave that they found. What are the chances that you think it could have been a strangulation or a smothering?
Could there have been a component of that? Yes, but that's not going to cause your skull to be fragmented like that.
I don't think the transports are there dead in that car either.
Probably shot on sight.
Yeah, I mean, there's no blood in the car.
I think they go park out there, they get out of the car, they're having a conversation, and at some point
Shoots her out there.
he's had enough and he shoots her out there.
And the bullet was just never recovered.
Yeah.
Right.
With Jeanette's car having moved from where Jaretha saw it the night before, it's safe to assume that Jeanette rode in it with her attacker to that field where her body was found. The question is, did she get forced at gunpoint at her front doorstep and comply to protect her kids inside the house? Or was she lured away by somebody she knew? Well, it's about this many names for go-sees and calls. The party people, the night of people, and all that. We can split them up and divide and conquer.
Okay.
All right, you ready to go? This case happened back in 1985, and it wasn't even looked at as a homicide initially. So if the real killer is a completely unknown suspect, we're going to need to find a brand new witness, either at the party house or in the time right after that gives us some huge new piece of information. And the person that they were looking at the hardest, Lionel Thomas, his statement from back then is one paragraph. So it's not like you have a whole lot to question him about to try and see if there are any inconsistencies. Then we're going to need some brand new information to compare with what he tells us.
We were just all at the party. I was with her mom and her sister. We all was there together. She said she didn't feel well. Her neck was hurting and she was going to go home. We was at the party house. We left there. She gave me a ride home. And, but that's about it.
Was she talking to anybody when you guys were getting ready to pull off?
Mm-hmm.
When you are picturing in your head seeing Jeanette walk to her car, did she talk to any other man?
No.
Okay.
I didn't see nobody come up to the car. Now, was somebody there that might have followed her and followed her home?
Yeah.
That's possible.
You were one of the children in the house that night, correct?
It was me, my cousin Jaretha, and my cousin Rashida. We was upstairs. We heard her talking to somebody, but we don't know who she was talking to. Mom was on the couch asleep. So nobody knew anything. Go to sleep, wake up, and we never seen her again.
The only thing I know is that I was the babysitter, and I stayed home without kids.
Does the name Lionel Thomas ring any bells for you?
I know she used to go with him, yes.
In the days where y'all realized Jeanette was missing, did Lionel come around wondering where she was?
Not to my knowledge.
Was he around pretty regularly before that?
Yeah.
He would always show up places where he was at. They went together when he came, and she said that she invited him. So I think sometimes he used to just, when he got off work, he just watched her.
Were they on at that point, or was it kind of a on and off?
It was probably off in her man, but not his.
Lionel's weird.
Yeah.
Weird how? Like, is he?
He creepy. I never even liked being around him. He's weird.
We have not found a lot of people that have any kind of big extra information that we can use to confront Lionel with. That's not great, but on the other hand, we also have run into nobody who can say that they saw Jeanette leave with anybody else or anything else that would give us some clue that there's an unknown suspect involved in all this.
So we're going to be meeting with Jaretha at the location. The house is no longer standing, so she can lay out the house for us, where the window was, where she's stating that she saw her mom from.
Now that we believe that Jeanette was shot to death and her assailant was likely waiting for her at home, we want to re-examine what we know of her final minutes firsthand. So we've asked her daughter, Jaretha, who was there, to help us do that. Hello, Miss Jaretha.
Good morning, everyone.
You.
You know you got the first hug. My heart is racing. If I can put your hand on top of my heart, it's beating hard because I have not been in this area in almost 20 years. That area right there is the living room, big picture window. So it had to be, I would say, after 3, we hear my mom's car pull up. Us girls run to the bathroom window. We see her. She gets out her car. As she walked away, we can still see her. Now we can't see her.
Because of the corner of the
Because
house.
of the corner and all
Or the
that.
house, okay.
So now we hear the keys.
You hear the keys going in the lock over here, right? You hear the keys. I thought he had to catch her right here. But he could have caught her over there, right?
I think he wants to catch her off guard.
I do too.
He, if this is Lionel, is at some point coming up and making contact with her, but she continues onto the front porch, and maybe he's trying to talk to her as they're walking up.
That's exactly what she would have
You know what
done.
I mean?
How does she go quietly without an argument or a loud voice or a protest getting in the car?
I guess just more talking to her. Let's talk it out. Let's go for a drive.
You don't think with a gun?
If she's got keys in the door, even with a gun in your face, you might try to make that quick in to the house, or voices would be raised a little bit.
Did you see his car at all?
No.
No, I just don't think he drove here.
I think he walked down here and they took her car.
Straight shot.
Yeah, I think he
How
did.
far is it?
5-6 blocks, huh?
6 blocks straight up?
So our main suspect, Lionel, in theory, could have easily walked from his house to Jeanette's because he only lived a few blocks away, talked to her, got her into the car, drove her to the field, killed her, and then drove the vehicle back to Jeanette's house and simply walked home. And that would account for why Jeanette's car had been moved from the alley where the kids initially saw it to where it was found the next morning, parked in front of the house.
Her car was parked here. Along right here. And her keys were still in ignition.
If it's a random person, why are they even bringing the car back? They don't care.
Not at all.
So then the drive from here to the location is...
It was like 18 miles.
Okay. Can we go do that now?
Sure.
Get an appreciation of that. With Jaretha's help today and seeing the house, I think the way it had to have happened so quickly, so voluntarily, there's no way that it's going to be a random person stalking her that abducts her. That doesn't make any sense. Because why would they bring her car back? This is a long drive to wait to get her to have a chit-chat, right? It's like the chit-chat should have already happened. It almost makes me feel like it happened before now, and you're driving out here just to dump her. Okay, we get here and her remains are where?
Down this path and out into an open field.
So we still got a ways to walk?
A little bit.
Let's go look. It says deer hunters out here that found her 2 months later.
Yeah. Based on the reports, when they located the body, it's right here.
It was just in a shallow grave, right?
Yeah.
And if the killing is with a gun, the passenger could be holding the gun to force her to drive this far deep back here, and then they get out of the car and then it happens?
Yeah. If you shoot somebody in the head inside of a car, you're gonna get spattered.
Probably right where she was laying down is where at least the gunshots happened close to there.
I don't see that woman who is pretty feisty and tough just driving out here in the middle of nowhere on a moonlit night to have a chit-chat with a man she's already broken up with several times probably, and she's tired of his
We don't know 100% know for sure that the gunshots were what killed her. The gunshots could be just to be sure. Yeah.
Dr. Paneri said that you could still have a strangulation. So if you were pleading this case, you would plead it gunshot wound, strangulation, unknown manner and means. You
Yeah.
put them all three in there. It makes sense that Lionel could have coaxed Jeanette into going for a ride with him in her car. That would explain that cigarette that's burnt up that Jaretha found in the ashtray the next day. But all the way out here, and sure, Lionel could have returned Jeanette's car and then walked home, but we don't have any evidence putting him with a gun. If Lionel killed Jeanette, we're not feeling strong enough yet in what we have.
She's here.
Okay. 2 years ago, Detective Anderson actually asked for the public's help in searching the field where Jeanette was found. But the actual reason for that search was to see if any of the people that the police department identified as suspects would show up and what their reactions would be to that search.
If you just want to have a seat in the fur chair?
The woman who helped plan the search actually saw Lionel Thomas at the scene and talked to him. So it's important for us to interview her to see what she observed.
We had talked before the search. You knew it was like a ruse search. Like it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. You actually had conversation with one of our suspects.
Yeah, so we went to the site, and I remember pulling up, and there was a lot of family. Jaretha was there, and there was some non-family people in the community that had come to join. And then there was a guy who was walking really slow. He was an older guy. He ended up walking with me, and I said, you know, have you been here before? He said, yeah, I've been here many times. He said he was a photographer back then, and that there was weddings back there, and they would do pictures. All of a sudden, I'm getting alerted, like, we knew that one of the suspects might actually be there, that might have actually done something to Jeanette Johnson. It's all kind of hitting me, and he turned around and pointed, back towards the area that I knew that you had told me that she had been somewhere back there. He placed himself there, and it was almost like it was remembering,
Remembering.
Yeah.
One of the things law enforcement looks at anytime they find a victim's body is this a comfort zone for the suspect? So what we want to do in this case is talk to Lionel to see if he's ever been there before. And if he contradicts that, that's clearly something we want to confront him about.
Thank you so much for coming in.
And right now we got our DNA results.
Yes, sounds like it.
We always try to find evidence that where remains are found connects back to the suspect, familiarity with the area of the remains, which Gia does beautifully here. But we can't put him there the night of. Maybe DNA can help us do that. We're hoping that at some point she reached up and scratched who killed her.
Mm-hmm.
And if they strangled her, the likelihood of that goes up. But dang, her fingernails are sitting out there in the woods for 2 months. All those years ago.
Yeah.
Caitlin Hogan speaking.
Hi, Caitlin. This is Logan Anderson, Kankakee City Police Department. We're just calling for a update on the DNA analysis.
Yes. For item 1, right little fingernail, no human DNA was detected. Item 2, right ring fingernail, no human DNA was detected. Item 3, right index fingernail, no human DNA was detected. Item 4, right middle fingernail, no human DNA was detected.
Okay.
Thank you for trying.
I'm guessing it's mainly just the condition the fingernails were in.
Yeah, they were out in the elements for a couple months. It's not surprising the negative on DNA. Thank you, Caitlin.
No problem. Bye.
Okay. Everybody probably thought that was going to happen that way, right?
Yeah.
So, keeping it real, what we know right now and can prove is that on the night Jeanette was last seen alive, she leaves the party house, and our witnesses to those events right there, which is the meat of the case, are Charlene Sessions.
She said she didn't feel well. Her neck was hurting and she was going to go home.
Patricia Prude.
We left there. She gave him my clothes. And, that's about it.
And Eureka. That's it.
The last time he came, and I told him, no, she hadn't made it home yet. Nobody made it from the party yet. And he was like, okay, I'll come back and check. No more Lionel. Never came back to the house.
And then whatever Lionel Thomas says, please let him talk. It's not just huge, but critically necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't want to put any pressure on you, but we need some help on this case.
We're fine. Just
You can't possibly think that sitting here right now we're fine on this case.
the homicide gods, I can feel it.
Good.
They're on our side.
You can pray to your homicide gods a lot, because you need some help this morning when y'all go knock on Lionel's door.
This case basically rests on what Lionel's going to tell us. We don't have enough to indict him right now or charge him with a crime. Let's face it. A lot of evidence here points to him, but it doesn't exactly eliminate other suspects.
Good morning.
I don't think he's ever been gone after hard, and we're going to try that now and see what his reaction is. If Lionel killed Jeanette, we need him to make a slip-up, an admission, hopefully a confession, which is very difficult to get.
The game plan is open-ended questions. What do you think happened? What do you remember? And then get into the details of the case with him.
Do you care if we park like a block or so away and listen?
No, that's perfect.
All right, well, we'll follow you.
All right. Hi, Mr. Thomas.
Hey, how you doing?
We can talk out here if you want. That's fine.
You don't think he'll look out of her mirror and see us sitting here, do you?
Appreciate you. So, the reason I wanted to talk to you is because, you were, this is about Jeanette, right? Jet?
Yeah, I didn't know who it was.
Oh, okay. You were kind of central in her life during the time that she went missing. So, you guys were dating it during that time period?
Yeah, off and
on?
off and on.
So you still had a lot of feelings for her, right?
Oh, yeah. She was my personality, yeah.
She apparently just wanted to move on or didn't want to get married or hook up, right?
Right. She just didn't want to be involved with me at that time.
What can you remember from when she went missing?
We went out that night. I left early, came home, and stayed at the bar.
Which bar are you talking about? What party house?
When she didn't call me, I went back down to her house.
What do you think?
He was at the party house with all them. Anybody in that family would have said they seen him there. Nobody has.
What time do you think you went back down to her house?
It had to be 1:30 or something like that.
How many times did you go over to that house looking for her that night, sir?
Just once.
Just once? You're at that house not one time that night, but at least 3 times that night. People saw you there. Is that true?
No.
Not at all. And you were going over there to talk to her about what?
See if she had made it.
Couldn't have called her?
I did call.
Did and?
Didn't get an answer.
Didn't even see you walked over.
Yeah, we didn't have cell phones back then.
So they walked over, that's good.
I went and knocked on the door and asked Drake, is her mom home? And she said no.
And then when you were walking off,
I seen a car pull up to her. I did pulled off.
Did it pull up into the front? Did it stop?
Pulled up in the alley.
Pulled up in the alley. Where were you standing, sir?
I was across the street.
Did you try to follow that car that night?
No. I was standing by my car, so no, I didn't.
I just said he walked over.
I went over our house the next day. Now we were supposed to go to the Chocolate Fountain concert.
and she wasn't there.
Did you ever go out and look for her?
Yes. Everywhere that there was a search party, I was in.
At some point, they got to bring up the search and what he said and all that.
And you took pictures, right?
I did wedding.
How been any weddings out in Pembroke, Hopkins Park area?
I didn't do anything out there. Well, I guess I did. I did one out there. I couldn't think about it.
When we went out for the search, was it close to where the search was at?
No, it's on the other side.
It was on the other side. Had you ever been out to that area where we did the search prior to us going out there?
No.
And the officer wouldn't touch you?
Well, yeah.
The day of the search, you had a conversation with an individual, and during that conversation, you said that you were very familiar with the area and that you've been out there before, out in that field behind the Bible Witness Camp.
I never took photos and weddings behind.
Well, why would some random person who doesn't know anything about the case
I had
tell me that you said that?
Were you angry with her, sir?
I didn't know this was getting.
You wrote her some letters. Do you remember writing her those letters?
Yeah.
You remember these? This one's an 82, talking about her being with other guys. He's staring you down. You're an evil woman with a cold heart if you meant half of what you said. You remember writing that?
We believe that something happened that night. Argument. She doesn't want to see you anymore at all.
You go down there at least 3 times to check in on her.
I don't know if I was there 3 times, but
Now you don't know if you were there 3 times. You said before that you were there once.
I think I was only there once. You keep saying I was there 3 times.
I'm not saying it. The family's saying it. So the last time you go over there, what happens then? Do you finally meet up with her? You guys have a conversation? Maybe go for a drive?
Who else in the world would have taken her out there, killed her, and then parked her car back in front of their house?
Here, that's what's got me baffled and confounded. Also, I have no idea. She was loved by everybody that I know, so I have no idea why this happened.
What you thinking?
He's fuzzy on some details, but 30 years later, we're going with the words of kids.
He's not stupid either.
No, he's smart.
All right, now I'm sitting here and listening to him trying to be objective. He sounds pretty dang good. He hasn't made any huge mistakes at all.
You understand why we're looking at you, though?
I do understand that. I'm pretty glad that you're looking at me, still looking for somebody.
We are.
But I am not him. I am not him at all.
Lionel's whole story is basically got small contradictions in it, but there's no major shifts in his story, which is problematic for a prosecution standpoint.
Never got angry, not one time.
Oh, never even raised his voice. When we accuse Lionel of the homicide itself, he's just a flat line. Think about this. We've all been accused of doing something we didn't do in life, and you get angry about it at some point. Killing somebody and staying at that flat line, come on, we're not asking if you backed into your neighbor's car. We're talking to you about killing somebody you love.
Y'all threw everything at him. What do you think?
The story just doesn't add up with everything that everybody else is saying.
My problem is I went there one time, and we got a 10-year-old kid, her daughter saying 3 times, and that's it.
Something happens that night that sets him off. Whether she doesn't want to go to the concert, something. He even writes her a letter. That's his goodbye to her.
And you think he writes it after it's done? That letter?
I think so, yeah.
Let's go look at that letter again. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go to that now, if that's okay.
All right.
We know that whatever happened to Jeanette happened in minutes. And in the whole wide world, the only human being on this planet that was looking for her that very night was Lionel Thomas. But when he talked today, and he didn't lawyer up, and he didn't get upset, he represented himself very well. So what do we do with all that right now? I don't know. There's one of those letters in particular that y'all are thinking he wrote right close to when she went missing, huh? Read that one again, Logan.
Dear Jeanette, sorry if I offended you last night by showing up at your house. I came by to take you to the concert, but you weren't at home. I went by several other places, but no one's seen you. I guess this is a message to me to get lost. Once again, sorry for invading your privacy, Lionel.
He wrote that then on Sunday, because if he came back from the concert, that would have been Saturday.
Yeah.
Right? So you're thinking he wrote that Sunday as a cover-up letter.
Almost every single person in the family said he never came back the next day.
On Saturday.
He never came back to see if he should go to the concert.
Yeah.
He could have gone back over there on Saturday, and the mother answered the door, and she's dead.
He didn't say that.
Well, he doesn't have to say that. I mean, we all know that he's creeping around because he's jealous, and he wants to make sure she's still going to go out with him Saturday night. That's what works with our timing of her being snatched up so quickly and quietly and easily right there on the front steps of her house. All that works and points at Lionel. But why would he go knocking on her door? If her car's not there, he knows she's not home.
She's not home.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good morning, guys. How y'all feeling?
Good.
Let's see what everybody thinks about where Jeanette's case stands
Okay.
and what we have. As a cold case investigator and prosecutor, the most important thing y'all gotta remember is it's not what you think, it's what you can prove in the courtroom. We've spoken to every living witness we can find, and we've spoken to our suspect, Lionel Thomas, but do we have enough evidence to establish probable cause to move forward with an arrest? The whole state of their relationship, how was it really going between Jeanette and Lionel?
I think it was on and off. On that night, I think it was off.
Did we find anybody that disagrees with that? Not even Lionel.
She just didn't want to be involved with me at that time.
What did we find out as far as his jealousy?
He shows up when she's out places.
He would always show up places where we could say it went together when he came, so I think sometimes we just watched him.
And on this night, she's at her party with her people and he's not invited. What does Jaretha say he does that night?
He comes by the place 3 times.
He's so desperate at 2 in the morning, he's still knocking on the door and wanting to know where she is.
Yeah.
He's losing her. It's ending. And I don't know what happens that night if she finally decides this is the line in the sand and it goes bad. He's the one that can get her into a car without a struggle.
If it's a random stranger that abducts her, why are they bringing her car back home?
Her car was parked here, along right here, and her keys were still in the ignition.
It's a straight shot from his house to hers down one road, 5 to 6 blocks, and it would be nothing for him to walk right back home after he's done bringing the car back.
But he forgot the fact that everybody knows she always parks in the alley. And then you have the little odd things that happen when you do your mock search in 2021.
Lionel tells Jean Marie Wright that he's familiar with that area.
He said he was a photographer and that there was weddings back there and they would do pictures. It's a 38-year-old case, so we always knew it was going to be a hard one. Do you believe that you have enough to try and convince your prosecutor to move forward with prosecuting this case?
I think as far as probable cause, I think it falls short of threshold.
I don't think we can prove it yet.
I agree with you. It is awfully thin. I mean, there's circumstantial evidence there. I don't think you're going to get over the guilt beyond a reasonable doubt right now.
It's really hard in a case like this where you don't have enough for probable cause or to try and get a DA to want to move forward.
We can still keep working it.
There's always that slim chance of somebody calling in after hearing about us knocking on doors.
You never know. You never know.
One day something could come along to make this case a whole lot better. That's what we all hope for. We're just very frustrated that today we did not get there. And now we have to break that to her daughter.
Hey, Teresa.
Hello, Detective Anderson.
You're the whole reason that this thing kicked off. And you made that post on Facebook. I didn't like it.
I knew. Well, it wasn't for you to like.
I get it. And, I think there's a whole lot more dedicated people at the Kankakee City Police Department today than there ever has been. We made a lot of headway this week. We were able to talk to Lionel. And some of the things that he said just don't coincide with everyone else's story. Unfortunately, I don't think we've met the threshold to file charges against him at this time.
Okay.
But that does not mean anything is over. Circumstantially, a lot points to Lionel.
We will not be having any arrests at this moment. That's okay. No, that's okay. My mother wouldn't have gave up on us, so I couldn't give up on her. But my journey here has stopped. We will always have memories of my mom. Her candle light will never be blown out, but it will be not a heavy weight. It won't be a heavy burden.
Wherever we went and all the doors that we knocked on for your mom's case, everybody was so excited that that was happening.
Yeah.
And now they're all going to know that it was all because of you.
Hanging on tight by a string.
You've lived with this your whole life. It's time for you to live your life.
Yes, ma'am.
Quit carrying this burden and this responsibility and this worry. Let it go to him.
My storm is over.
Good.
My grandmother prayed, we prayed. In our last prayers was if they would bring someone in on this case and that had fresh eyes and all that, and they brought Detective. God blessed us with Detective Anderson. I can't thank you enough, Detective Anderson. You have a friend in me for life, and I thank you. I love this end. I love this end. I'm not walking away crying.
It's because of Jaretha that we came to Kankakee and got all this stirred up again and got her mom's murder case closer to being solved than ever.
It ain't over.
A single gunshot, a 19-year-old mother bleeding out, and the father of her 11-day-old twins standing over her body, phone in hand, not calling 911, but his own mother instead. Welcome to Shadows of Crime. I'm your host, and today we're examining a case that exposes the darkest side of intimate relationships. If you're new to our channel, hit that subscribe button now to join our community of truth seekers who refuse to let these stories fade into obscurity. Devonye Cummings should have been celebrating a milestone in her young life, the birth of her twin daughters. Instead, on March 2, 2025, she became another statistic in America's epidemic of domestic violence. But Devonye was far more than a statistic. She was a daughter, a friend, and most importantly, a mother to 4 children who now must navigate life without her. What makes this case particularly disturbing isn't just the timing, though the murder of a woman still recovering from major surgery is horrific enough. It's what happened in the crucial minutes after the shooting that reveals the true character of the man who pulled the trigger. When 34-year-old Terrence Miles stood over Davonye's body, he didn't call for an ambulance. He didn't try to save the mother of his newborn twins. Instead, he reached for his phone and called someone else entirely. This single decision speaks volumes about his priorities in that moment and raises serious questions about his claim that what happened was merely an accident. As we dive into Davonye's story, we'll explore how a young woman born into a cycle of hardship fought to create a better life for her children, only to have that life cut tragically short by someone who should have protected her. We'll examine the warning signs that went unheeded, the system that failed to intervene, and the community left to pick up the pieces. But perhaps most importantly, we'll look at what Davonier's death can teach us about recognizing danger before it turns deadly, because while we can't bring her back, we might be able to prevent another young mother from meeting the same fate. What forces shaped Davonier's path toward this tragic end? And how did a man with 5 felony convictions end up in the position to take her life? Just days after she gave birth to his children, the answers reveal a troubling pattern that began long before that fatal gunshot. To understand the tragedy that unfolded in that Oakland apartment, we need to go back to the beginning of Davonier Cummings' story, a story marked by absence and instability from her earliest days. Davonier grew up in a household fractured by the criminal justice system. Her father, mother, and brother all cycled in and out of incarceration throughout her childhood, leaving her without the stable foundation most children take for granted. While other kids her age worried about homework and friendships, Davonier worried about when or if her family would come home. Her social media accounts from her early teens paint a heartbreaking picture of a young girl desperate for connection. Posts with captions like "Free my daddy," "Free my mama," "Free my brother" appeared regularly, a digital cry for a family that circumstances had taken from her. These weren't just casual statements. They were the desperate pleas of a child forced to grow up in the shadow of a system that had claimed nearly everyone she loved. With her primary caregivers absent, Davonier had no choice but to mature beyond her years. Basic survival skills that most teenagers learn gradually under parental guidance. Cooking, cleaning, managing a household became her daily reality out of necessity, not choice. She navigated adolescence largely alone, without the safety net that family typically provides. Then, at just 13 years old, Davonier's life changed forever. In 2019, while most girls her age were navigating middle school social dynamics, she became a mother to her first daughter. This child, born when Davonier was barely a teenager herself, became her anchor in a world that had offered little stability. Friends recall how her entire demeanor would change when she spoke about her daughter, her face lighting up with a love and purpose that had previously been missing. She was the sweetest girl you'd ever meet, especially considering everything she'd been through, one childhood friend told local reporters after her death. Always making jokes, always trying to make others feel better even when she was struggling herself. This resilience in the face of overwhelming odds became Davonier's defining characteristic. Those who knew her described a young woman who refused to be defined by her circumstances, who maintained her capacity for joy and laughter despite the weight on her shoulders. But beneath this exterior strength, Davonier battled depression and the heavy burden of generational trauma. Her social media posts occasionally revealed glimpses of this inner struggle. Moments of raw honesty about feeling overwhelmed, abandoned, and uncertain about her future. What's remarkable isn't that Davonier sometimes felt crushed by her circumstances, it's that she continually found the strength to push forward anyway. While many teenagers rebel against authority, Davonier had virtually none to rebel against. While many young adults gradually take on responsibility, she had it thrust upon her all at once. And while many new mothers have their own mothers to guide them, Davonier navigated parenthood largely through instinct and determination. The contrast between the harshness of her circumstances and her persistent hope for a better future reveals the core of who Davonier was. Not a victim, though victimized by systems and individuals throughout her short life, but a young woman determined to create something better for herself and her children. This determination would carry her forward as her family continued to grow, but it would also place her directly in the path of a man whose influence would prove deadly. By the time Davonier Cummings reached 19 years of age, she had already experienced motherhood 4 times over. Following her first daughter born when she was just 13, she went on to have a second child, and then in February 2025, she gave birth to twin girls via C-section. 4 children before she could legally purchase alcohol, a responsibility that would overwhelm many twice her age. Despite the enormous challenges of raising multiple children as a teenager with limited resources and support, Davonier's devotion to her children was evident to everyone who knew her. Her social media accounts, once filled with longing for her absent family members, transformed into a celebration of her children. Their milestones, their smiles, their everyday moments that brought her joy. Those kids were her world, a close friend later told investigators. Everything she did, every decision she made was about giving them a better life than she had. She'd go without food herself to make sure they had what they needed. This dedication to her children made what happened to Davonier all the more tragic, not just for her, but for the 4 young lives left behind, including newborns who would never know their mother's touch. It was during her pregnancy with the twins that Terrence Miles became a significant presence in Davonier's life. At 34 years old, Miles was nearly twice Davonier's age. A man in his mid-30s involved with a teenager. This age gap alone represented a significant power imbalance. But it was far from the only red flag in their relationship. What Davonier may not have fully understood was the extent of Miles's troubled past. Court records reveal that by the time he entered her life, Terrence Miles had accumulated 5 felony convictions. His criminal history painted a picture of a man with violent tendencies and little regard for the law, hardly the stable partner a young mother of multiple children needed. The question that haunts this case is how a man with such a background came to have such influence over a vulnerable young woman. The answer likely lies in the complex dynamics that often characterize relationships with significant age and power disparities. For Davonier, who had grown up without consistent parental figures, the attention of an older man might have initially seemed like the stability she craved. For Miles, a teenage mother with limited resources represented someone he could easily control and manipulate. This toxic combination, her vulnerability and his dominance, created the perfect conditions for abuse. Friends noticed changes in Davonier after Miles entered her life. She became more isolated, her social media posts grew less frequent, and when she did post, the carefree joy that had characterized her earlier content was noticeably diminished. These subtle shifts, recognized only in hindsight, were early warning signs of a relationship turning dangerous. The birth of the twins should have been a new beginning, a chance for Miles to step up as a father and partner. Instead, it marked the beginning of the end. With Davonier physically vulnerable from her C-section and emotionally focused on her newborns, the power dynamic in their relationship shifted even further in Miles' favor. What happened in those 11 days between the birth of the twins and Davonier's death? What tensions were building behind closed doors as she recovered from major surgery while caring for newborns? And most importantly, were there moments when intervention might have changed the course of events? The answers to these questions reveal how quickly a controlling relationship can escalate to deadly violence, and how systems designed to protect vulnerable women and children can fail at the most critical moments. I want to pause here and ask you, our viewers, what warning signs do you see in relationships like this one? Have you ever noticed similar patterns in relationships around you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insight might help someone recognize danger before it's too late. As we continue Davonier's story, we'll examine the final days of her life. Days that should have been filled with the joy of new motherhood, but instead led to an unthinkable end. On February 21, 2025, Davonier Cummings was wheeled into an operating room at an Oakland hospital. Hours later, she emerged a mother of 4, having delivered twin girls via C-section. The birth announcement appeared on her social media that evening, a photo of 2 tiny infants, their eyes closed, wrapped in hospital blankets. Her caption was simple: "My angels are here. Blessed ×2. What many of Davonier's followers might not have understood was the physical ordeal she was just beginning. A C-section is major abdominal surgery. Doctors cut through skin, tissue, and muscle to reach the uterus. Recovery typically takes 6 to 8 weeks, with the first 2 weeks being particularly challenging. During this time, women experience significant pain, difficulty moving, and are advised not to lift anything heavier than their newborn. For Davonier, this meant she was at her most physically vulnerable in the days following the twins' birth. Simple tasks like getting out of bed, showering, or picking up her other children became painful challenges. She needed rest, support, and care, none of which she appeared to receive adequately from Miles. Her social media activity during these 11 days shows a young mother trying to embrace the joy of her expanding family despite physical pain and mounting tension at home. She posted photos of the twins daily, often with captions expressing gratitude and love. "Can't believe they're mine," read one post. "Worth every pain," said another. But between these celebrations of new life, troubling signs emerged. Posts would appear and then be deleted hours later. Friends reported receiving late-night messages from Davonier that hinted at problems with Miles, though she never explicitly asked for help. If you're watching this video and recognize these patterns in your own life or someone close to you, please don't wait to reach out for help. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel to help spread awareness about these warning signs. Your action today could save someone tomorrow. What investigators would later discover about Miles' behavior during these 11 days reveals a man growing increasingly agitated by the demands of newborn twins and a partner recovering from surgery. Neighbors reported hearing arguments from the apartment, with Miles's voice often dominating these exchanges. One neighbor told police she heard him shouting, "You had kids before, why are you acting helpless now?" just 2 days before the murder. But the most disturbing revelation came from Davonier's phone records. In the 48 hours before her death, she had searched online for women's shelters in Oakland and how to leave safely with children. She had also reached out to a distant cousin, asking if she and her children could stay just for a little while until I figure things out. These digital breadcrumbs paint a heartbreaking picture. A young mother still healing from childbirth, recognizing the danger in her home, and desperately seeking an escape route. She knew something was wrong. She was trying to get out. The timing of these searches suggests Davonier had made the decision to leave Miles, a decision that domestic violence experts identify as the most dangerous moment in an abusive relationship. When abusers sense they're losing control, they often escalate to extreme violence in an attempt to reassert dominance. As March 2nd dawned, Davonier Cummings had no way of knowing it would be her last day alive. She fed her twins, posted a final photo of them sleeping peacefully, and sent a text to her cousin that read simply, "I'll call you later today, need to talk." That call would never come. March 2, 2025, began as an ordinary Sunday in Oakland. At approximately 2:15 p.m., multiple neighbors heard what they described as a loud bang coming from Davonier's apartment. One resident who lived directly below reported hearing a man's voice shouting immediately afterward, though she couldn't make out the words. No one called the police. A tragic example of how normalized such disturbances had become in the building. Inside the apartment, Davonier Cummings lay on the floor of her bedroom with a gunshot wound to her neck. The twins were in their bassinet in the living room, unharmed but soon to be motherless. Davonier's other 2 children were fortunately not home at the time, having been picked up by a family friend the previous day for a weekend visit. What Terrence Miles did next speaks volumes about his character and intentions. Rather than immediately calling 911 to get medical help for the mother of his children, Miles called his own mother. Phone records show this call lasted nearly 4 minutes. During this conversation, he claimed the shooting was an accident, that the gun had discharged while he was checking it. Only after speaking with his mother did Miles finally contact authorities, not by calling 911 himself, but by having his mother make the call. This crucial delay eliminated any chance Davonier might have had for survival. as medical experts later testified that immediate intervention could potentially have saved her life. When Oakland police officers arrived at 2:37 p.m., they found Miles sitting in the living room with the twins. He directed them to the bedroom where Davonye lay motionless. The gun, a 9mm handgun that Miles was prohibited from possessing as a convicted felon, was on the dresser, partially wiped clean of fingerprints. Officers immediately noted several inconsistencies in Miles' account. The angle of the wound was inconsistent with an accidental discharge during gun handling. There were no powder burns on Davonye's skin, suggesting the shot was fired from at least several feet away, rather than during a close inspection of the weapon. Most damning of all, Miles had taken time to clean the gun, but not to call for medical help. As paramedics confirmed Davonye's death at the scene, Miles maintained his story about an accident. He showed little visible emotion as officers placed him in handcuffs and read him his rights. The twins, oblivious to the tragedy that had just altered the course of their lives, were taken into protective custody and later placed with Davonye's extended family. Let's pause to examine Miles' actions in the aftermath of the shooting, as they reveal crucial insights into his mindset. When faced with a life-or-death emergency involving the mother of his newborn twins, his first instinct wasn't to save her life but to establish his defense. The 4-minute call to his mother wasn't about getting help, it was about getting his story straight. This calculated response suggests not a man panicking after a tragic accident, but someone methodically creating a narrative to minimize his culpability. The partial cleaning of the weapon, the delay in seeking medical attention, the carefully constructed story, these are the actions of someone thinking about consequences rather than care. Miles was booked into Alameda County Jail on charges of second-degree murder, possession of a firearm by a felon, and child endangerment. The district attorney later upgraded the charge to first-degree murder, after forensic evidence contradicted Miles' account of an accidental discharge. The Mercury News would later report that during his initial interview with detectives, Miles repeatedly stated, "I didn't mean to," while simultaneously refusing to explain why he had pointed a loaded gun at Davonye in the first place. This contradiction, claiming accident while being unable to provide a plausible scenario for that accident, further undermined his defense. As news of Davonye's death spread through her community and across social media, the stark reality set in. A 19-year-old mother of 4, just days after giving birth, had been killed by the father of her newborn twins. Her children were now without their mother, her friends without her laughter, and her story, one of resilience in the face of overwhelming odds, had come to a violent, premature end. But the impact of Davonye's death was just beginning to ripple outward. In the wake of Davonye's murder, 4 children were left without their mother. Her oldest daughter just 6 years old, her second child, and the newborn twins who would never know her beyond photographs and stories. The immediate question of who would raise these children fell to Davonye's extended family, many of whom were already struggling with their own challenges. Eventually, her maternal aunt stepped forward to take custody of all 4 children, determined to keep the siblings together, despite the financial and emotional burden this represented. As news of the killing spread through Oakland, the community's response was immediate and powerful. Within 24 hours, a makeshift memorial appeared outside Davonye's apartment building, stuffed animals, candles, photos, and handwritten notes covering the entrance. Many who left tributes had never met Davonye personally but felt compelled to honor a young mother whose life had been cut short so violently. 3 days after her death, more than 200 people gathered for a candlelight vigil in her memory. Friends shared stories of Davonye's kindness, her humor, and her unwavering dedication to her children. She used to say that her kids gave her the childhood she never had, one friend told the crowd. She found joy in watching them experience things for the first time. The media coverage of Davonye's murder highlighted not just the tragedy of her death, but the systemic failures that preceded it. The Mercury News published a detailed report on March 19 titled, "I Didn't Mean to," After killing his girlfriend in Oakland, he told his mom it was an accident, police say. The article examined Miles' history of violence and questioned why a man with 5 felony convictions had access to both a firearm and a vulnerable young mother. Perhaps the most significant response came from the Black Femicide Prevention Coalition, which adopted Devonya's case as a rallying point for their ongoing work. In a powerful statement, they noted, Devonye Cummings represents hundreds of young Black women killed by intimate partners each year, deaths that are preventable, predictable, and ignored until it's too late. The organization used social media to spread awareness about Devonye's story, connecting it to the broader pattern of violence against Black women in America. The National Gun Violence Memorial created a dedicated page for Devonye, preserving her memory alongside thousands of other victims of gun violence. Her photo, smiling, vibrant, full of life, stands in stark contrast to the circumstances of her death. As the initial shock of Devonye's murder gave way to grief and anger, questions began to emerge, questions that demanded answers. How had a man with Miles' criminal history been able to obtain a firearm? Why hadn't Child Protective Services intervened given the age gap between Devonye and Miles, which suggested their relationship began when she was underage? What resources might have helped Devonye escape before violence turned deadly? These questions point to a troubling reality. Devonye's death wasn't just the result of one man's actions on one day, but the culmination of multiple systemic failures over years. Her murder didn't happen in isolation, it happened in plain sight, with warning signs visible to anyone paying attention. And that raises the most haunting question of all. Who was paying attention? Devonye Cummings' story is not just a tragedy to be mourned but a lesson to be learned. Her death represents a cascade of missed opportunities for intervention, moments when different choices, different systems, or different responses might have altered the course of her life. Early intervention begins with recognizing vulnerable youth. Devonye's first pregnancy at 13 should have triggered comprehensive support services, not just medical care but educational support, counseling, and family intervention. Young mothers like Devonye need more than prenatal vitamins. They need pathways to independence and stability. The significant age gap between Devonye and Miles highlights the critical need for protection against predatory relationships. When a 34-year-old man pursues a teenager, particularly one already vulnerable due to her circumstances, this represents a power imbalance that demands scrutiny. Schools, healthcare providers, and social services must be trained to identify these dynamics and intervene appropriately. Community awareness and bystander intervention could have made a difference in Devonye's case. Neighbors heard arguments but didn't call authorities. Friends noticed concerning patterns but weren't sure how to help. We must foster communities where people understand the warning signs of domestic violence and feel empowered to act, not after a tragedy, but before it occurs. Gun violence prevention represents another critical layer of protection. Miles, as a convicted felon, was legally prohibited from possessing a firearm, yet he obtained one with apparent ease. Stronger enforcement of existing gun laws, combined with community-based violence interruption programs, could help keep weapons out of the hands of those most likely to misuse them. Support for young mothers must be comprehensive and accessible. Devonye was recovering from a C-section while caring for newborn twins and 2 other children, a challenging situation for anyone, let alone a teenager with limited resources. Postpartum support services, affordable child care, and practical assistance could have reduced her isolation and dependency on Miles. As we conclude Devonye's story, I ask you to consider how you might apply these lessons in your own community. Do you know the warning signs of domestic violence? Are you familiar with local resources for those at risk? Would you recognize when a young person needs intervention? Share this video to spread awareness about the intersecting issues that led to Devonye's death. Follow our channel for more stories that illuminate social issues and inspire change. Most importantly, if you see someone in a situation similar to Devonya's, don't wait to reach out. Your action today could prevent a tragedy tomorrow. Devanya Cummings' life mattered. By learning from her story, we honor her memory and work toward a world where young women like her can thrive, safe from violence and full of possibility. Devanya Cummings' life was cut tragically short at just 19 years old, but her legacy continues through her 4 children.